following program on Ada Derana 24 is classified as PG. It is intended for younger children in the company of an adult. It may contain some suggestive dialogue, infrequent coarse language, some sexual situations, or some moderate violence. Viewer discretion is advised. The following program contains opinions of the participants and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network. The network believes in a safe space for all ideas to be expressed without any censorship and on its duty to create such a platform for free speech. Viewer discretion is strictly advised.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TPS, where we discuss about the most relevant and pressing conversations that shape the future of our nation in terms of politics. And we've been discussing all throughout these episodes about different topics that have mattered to the general public in terms of the political landscape of Sri Lanka. And something that we've forgotten down the line is the youth representation in terms of politics. Now, to discuss about this topic, which is about youth and political reform, not just the future, we are the now. I have two guests over here. Towards my right, I have Ms. Viduri Wickramasinghe from the National People's Power. Welcome you to the program.
Thank you.
And also to my left, I have Mr. Uthsara Dunusinghe representing United National Party. Welcome you as well. So, today's topic is nothing new to them because they are the youth representatives of the relevant parties that they are representing today. So now let's get into a very general question. I'll ask first it from you. Now there is over 4.5 million youth between the ages of 15 to 29 when it comes to the Sri Lankan youth. Now this million is a lot in terms of Sri Lanka. But then again, when it comes to the involvement of youth in politics within Sri Lanka, it is very low comparatively. And also people have misconceptions in terms of the youth getting involved in politics. What do you think about youth's involvement in Sri Lankan politics in this landscape?
First of all, thanks for inviting me for the program. So I believe, as you say, there's a reluctant stepping forward from youth into politics, but as you can see for the past few days, there have been like talk of the town, as you say, about forming youth clubs, right, in grassroots levels, which are opening avenues for the youth who are interested in taking leadership and going forward with the politics. It's a good opportunity for them to step in and get themselves groomed and developed, grow, and having good soft skills maybe, and getting into this field. So I think, so the current government has identified that particular issue that you mentioned earlier. So they have been introduced, and particularly there have been allocated budgets in order to like build the youth when it comes to let's say sports and the education and young entrepreneurship. There have been funding for the new young entrepreneurs. Likewise, so they are opening new avenues for the youth. Specifically from formulating these youth clubs, they are opening anybody to step in and take the leadership. Not only like it was like kind of limited to few people, but nowadays we can see anybody from rural areas, anyone who's having skill sets, the necessary skill sets and the capabilities and everything, anybody can perform and get their chance and step in to take part in politics. It's not that bad, I say. Earlier there was a misconception, as you mentioned, but now it has been changed. It's getting changed day by day. I think it's really important for our country. So as a country, we are kind of like in 30 or 20 years back from compared to the other countries. So we have to catch the flow. We have to go with them. In order to do that, we have to build a very strong political framework, and youth must take place. Youth must take lead in that particular task, I think.
I think that was a very powerful notion as well, that Sri Lanka needs to upscale their youth representation in terms of politics, and also I believe, as you agreed, the misconception, but it's positive to see that it's been something that is being taken away and that the youth is being utilized more for the leadership and also the political aspect of Sri Lanka. So now, Mr. Uthsara, now when it comes to the politics, now you being a youth, you presenting the category of youth, you are getting involved in politics. So now, just as I asked from her, do you think that youth is being given the prominent chance and the opportunities rightfully for them to voice up and give about some action to the political concerns that is being taken place within Sri Lanka currently?
Yes, thank you very much. So the youth, so the short answer is yes, they are being given the opportunity. But they have been given the opportunity formally and legally since 1979. Because in 1979, they brought in the first statute related to the youth, Youth Services Act number 69 of 1979, if I'm not wrong. But we have to understand, why would the youth get involved? Because let's be honest, completely honest, no one wants to get involved in politics and take a lot of trouble and go through all of this if they can fulfill their basic needs and if they can have a good life. So they get involved, the youth definitely get involved in politics only if there is a proper necessity. In 2022, we realized that there was a necessity, and as Ms. Wickramasinghe also said, there was a vacuum because the youth was not necessarily involved because they didn't want to get involved. There was a reluctance. Clearly there was a reluctance. But throughout the history, all the time, there was the reluctance. The very first youth organizations in Sri Lanka where the youth got involved with politics was, if I'm not wrong, in 1920. In the 1920s, for independence, a lot of people think that the independence struggle started from the south, but it actually started from the north, from Jaffna. The Jaffna, it was called the Jaffna Students' Congress. And in 1924, they renamed themselves as the Jaffna Youth Congress. And they were inspired by the Indian independence movement. And these youngsters, they want to gain independence for Ceylon, for Sri Lanka, not only their part. So that's a commendable thing which we have to actually acknowledge. So they are the people who got Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru to come to Jaffna, and they were the people who started the independence movement formally. Before that, of course, yes, Aragala Dharampal, then even D.S. Ranayaka, who was also a youngster at that point, especially after the killing of Captain Edward Henry Petris in 1915. And then, since then, everyone, the youth, regardless of their religion, race, whatever, they wanted to get involved in the political system just for a better future. They wanted to have a better future. Even right now, anyone is involved because they want to have a better future for this country. And back then also there was one lady, she was not even Sri Lankan. Her name was Doreen Young. And she was married to Dr. S.A. Wickramasinghe, who was a socialist, politically a very respectable gentleman. And she's the one who said we should protest against the poppies, selling of poppies. She said, why should our Sri Lankan children, why should our youth be forced to buy poppies to fund or finance or for the betterment of ex-servicemen of England? And then she's the one who brought up the Suryamal program, the movement, Suryamal movement. So she was also just a 26-year-old. Just because she wrote an article in Ceylon Daily News, she got interdicted. And then she realized, okay, we have to get involved. The youth should get organized. And then they met up at Mr. Wilmer Pera, former MP for Matugama, at his place. And then they realized we need the Ceylon youth movement. That's the beginning of the Ceylon youth movement. And then the youth got involved. And in 1977, with the UNP government coming to power, many youngsters came into power. So Viduri Wickramasinghe, he was the Minister of Youth Affairs and Employment. Then Mr. Gamli Sanak, he was also a youngster, Minister of Mahavel Development. Then Vijayam Loku Bandara, then Gamijaya Vikrampera, all of these people, they were youngsters. Ms. Kamala Herath, she was the Minister of District Minister for Nuwara Eliya. Now, all these youngsters, first times in parliament, they were given ministerial portfolios, regardless of party. We had to talk about other parties as well, even Mahinda Rajapaksa, His Excellency. He was also, though he's from different party, we have to acknowledge, he was given the opportunity to thank the throne speech when he was, I think, around 21 years old, right? So the youth always got involved when there was a necessity, or else there's no need. Why do we get involved? Because most of us, we have the ability to advocate or support certain political policies and set the country on the right track. If we speak to 10 people from our generation, 6 of them or 7 of them want to go abroad. Why is that? That means something's wrong. But we can't expect them to have the same political literacy. Then it is up to the youngsters who are involved and who want to get involved to fight their way through. And you asked whether there is an opportunity, whether there is sufficient opportunity. I don't say anyone's going to give opportunities. No one's going to get opportunities. Even elders won't get opportunities. We have to fight for it. If we want opportunity, if we want to do something for this country, we have to get involved. And keeping aside all party politics, everyone, the youth should get together. And then we should have a goal. By this year, we are going to achieve this. By 2040, we are going to achieve this. 48, we are going to achieve this. There's no point if someone's going to come on a stage and say, we are just going to make this country, we're just going to transform this country to some other, maybe like Singapore. That's not going to happen. We should get together, and we should not be too proud, not too big-headed. We have to be humble enough to understand and get the good out of the elders. Because we have to look at the past. We can't go ahead without understanding the history. We have to get the good. Definitely there are problems. Obviously, I think the youth, they were most reluctant because they always thought for the past 70 years or whatever, nothing happened. You can argue about that, but we can get the good out of it. Everyone can learn. All leaders, we can learn something from them. Then the youngsters should get that and be humble enough to learn and build the future.
Amazing. I think that was a plethora of information and facts as well down the line, how the youth movement started across and how it has brought up until now and how it has been a need and an opportunity. So now with all these notions that was brought about by Mr. Dunusinghe, now when it comes to the perception, when it comes to the youth, it is more like the adults feel like, or else the majority of the crowd, older crowd thinks that now the youth gets involved in rallies and so much of picketing and all, but not in the possibility of policy making or like the objectivity of politics. So in that context, do you feel like the youth is being used into rallies and picketing only in these given circumstances when it comes to political notions?
I think there are few, if we say like in order to like spread something, a news, or like to make people aware, we are doing some projects, right? We are working on the propagandas. So as a result of that particular thing, I think these picketings and whatever the things you call like rallies or maybe anything can be introduced, and they've been like formed. But the thing is, I believe that since the youth have more energy and they are having so much like forward energetic feeling or whatever, the revolutionary ideas and all, they are the ones who are taking the lead or the front line of these particular events. But when it comes to, as you can see in our state government, state university system, there are so many rallies and protests and whatever the things that you called have going through when it comes to the student politics. So that's the part of those projects or whatever the things that are going through. But this particular government, I believe that they have been given more chance to the youngsters and youth to raise their voices within the councils, and they have been involving actively. As far as I know, I'm not going to mention like specifically. Few of the very young, very much youngsters are involved in like kind of giving ideas, maybe advocating or giving working as advisors, so not only shaping the thoughts of that particular ministers or the high authority the people, but they are giving their ideas and how they think, how the way they think upon some challenge or in the face of adversity. Sometimes we are thinking in a way that the elders are not thinking. So it would be beneficial for them to get that idea or point of view into their account in order to manage the solution or come up with practical solutions. So I think that they have been given the opportunity, and compared to the previous governments, the youth participation is much increased in whether it could be the central governmental bodies, parliament, or the youth the councils itself, local governmental councils and all. I think there have been considerable high involvement in youth.
I'm going to cut you short from there.
Yeah.
So I think that is something positive as well, despite the rallies, the protests and the picketing, all that is going about. Youth being utilized for much more purposeful aspects in terms of politics in Sri Lanka is something that is futuristic and optimistic as well. So let's dig deep into the youth's involvement in the political landscape of Sri Lanka. Before then, let's go in for a short commercial break. This is TPS. Welcome back to TPS. We were discussing on how the youth has been evolving in terms of the Sri Lankan politics. How is it? Is it positive, negative, and how are the issues and concerns being addressed through the involvement of youth? So, Mr. Dunusinghe, now when it comes to the Aragala, that has been a bigger concern with the involvement of youth, because something that down the line we saw was that once Aragala happened, the majority of the youth who was there will be transformed or transitioned into the aspect of getting into politics. Now that was a normal notion and a perspective and an opinion that everyone was holding with regards to youth's involvement in politics. So what do you think? Was this Aragala that had to happen and for the youth to actually escalate or get into much more involvement in politics in Sri Lanka?
No, it's good. That's one good positive outcome of the Aragala. But and then we should be thankful to the government which took over soon after the Aragala, because they introduced a method for the youth to get involved with the parliamentary committees, and that was one good step. But during the Aragala, something which we all noticed was a lot of people, especially the youth, they used to post content on social media based on what they saw. And that vulnerability was seen by certain individuals in order to exploit them. Because when someone is hurt, when someone is angry, that is exactly the moment to attack them. That is exactly the moment to take over. That is exactly the moment to manipulate them. So there was a point where whatever was told by certain politicians was discarded. Whatever the good things that came out from their mouths, that was wrong. But the youth was exploited. I have to admit that the youth was exploited at that point, and that is something which we should prevent. And the reason for that was also the lack of political literacy. We didn't have that political literacy until the Aragala happened. To be very frank, there were certain individuals who said, if we spoke about politics, they said, I don't want to talk about politics. I'm not interested in politics. And it's stop about politics. We don't want to talk about it. That's what they said, because they thought they can live without politics. But it is a known fact, all humans are political beings. We can't live without politics. Be it your class, be it say you're a teacher in your staff room, say you're a lawyer in the legal fraternity, and you're a doctor, then among the unions. Wherever you go, you have politics. Even in your own house, there might be politics. Okay? Politics is a power struggle. It's not only about governance, right? So, and if governance go wrong, if the governments mess up, everyone will have to suffer. Every person will have to suffer, regardless of your party or your wealth. I mean, we all saw, even if you had wealth, when the economy collapsed, you couldn't, even if you had money, you couldn't buy fuel. There was no place, right? That's why then when the youth understood, okay, we need to get involved. But then that was the wrong time, right? That is why we need, in order to prevent an Aragala or whatever, we need to educate the youth. And educating means not only about algebra, that is important, please don't get me wrong, it is important, but you need to let them understand how the government works and how the departments, how the executive body works, how the legislature works, how the judiciary works. It's very easy. You go up to people and recently, I'll just give one example due to time constraints. When someone gets bail, from a court case, people say, okay, he was released. And then the government must be having a deal with him. That is why. That is because they don't understand how the legal procedure works. People need to, if you have at least one case, you would know it will take at least 5 to 10 years. And if it's appeal, more than that. If it's subject to revision, more than that, right? And granting bail does not mean someone is acquitted or someone is not guilty. It's the procedure of granting bail. If you read it, if people know, if people have read the act, they would understand that is not you be declared as being innocent, right? But people don't know this. Similarly, whatever happens, it's very easy to manipulate them and to mislead them if people are not educated. To be very frank, I don't want the youth, we don't want the youth, the UNP or anyone doesn't want the youth to believe anything just because we say. I mentioned certain things earlier. I don't want anyone to believe that. Go through the proper statutes, go through the case records, go through the commission reports. Don't believe whatever you see on social media. But unfortunately, the youth, now they have, it has become the trend to learn things through social media comments. They think, oh, but that's the truth. That's dangerous. And that is exactly what happened in the Aragala as well. You believe, you see something, you believe. And then you post that, and you believe that, and you communicate, and you convey. That's worse. And that is going to be a big problem if you're not going to find a solution for that.
So do you think, just a follow-up question, a very short follow-up question, now when it comes to the political literacy, since you mentioned it as well, do you think that the youth is much more driven in terms of that than the past scenarios or situations with regards to the political literacy that we are holding up?
No, not yet. Unfortunately, no. We are not literate. The common youth, they are not literate enough. They don't read. Just because someone says, any person, be it this government, I'll not defend my own party, be it this government, if someone is going to say, so and so, that particular minister did this particular thing, why would you believe it if you haven't seen? Just go through the case. The law and the legal system is there, the police is there, law enforcement is there, they will take action. If you want to look at someone's past, don't just accuse someone saying 20 years ago or 30 years ago, this person committed this particular offense. Then go through the case report, see what happened. Go to the commission report, because we know certain individuals, they come into power saying they will do this, they will take action against certain people, but once they come into power, they are also in a helpless condition because now they can't prove. It's very easy to tarnish someone's character, but it's very difficult to prove it. So right now, political literacy is nowhere to be found. Only a very handful, and people are a bit too lazy. That is why people think, okay, no point. We just give up on politics. Let them do whatever they want. We might leave the country. We can't blame them either.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that was a good notion in terms of how we should perceive certain things and not act upon as to what we see, but rather do the factual check and really understand the underlying situation with regards to whatever that you see. And I think that's something that the youth that is getting involved in the political aspect of Sri Lanka should really look forward into. Let's discuss more up in this context of how the youth is getting involved actively in the political landscape of Sri Lanka. Before then, let's go in for a short commercial break. This is TPS. Welcome back to TPS. So we were discussing as to how the political literacy of the Sri Lankan youth is capable, or else is it advanced given the facts and figures and the information from the past. But then again, as Dunusinghe mentioned how it is in the current context, I wanted to pose a question with regards to the voter turnout. Now, when it comes to the voter turnout with regards to the presidential election and also specifically the local government election, it was quite reduced. It was not what we expected. In that condition, do you think that the youth had played a pivotal role in the reduction of the voters' turnout in the polling? Because I think the majority of the voters were youth and were supposed to be youth. But then again, they didn't turn up, and then there was a situation with regards to your party as well. So how do you take on this?
So according to my point of view, I think after getting elected this government, they've been expecting a huge change, and it's true that they have been started and initiated few things, few projects, so few initiatives, but still people are expecting the transformation in really quick manner. But you know, when it comes to transformation and reforming policies and establishing new state machineries and state procedures, it takes time. But I would not say that it's like taking forever, but it's taking a considerable time. There are a lot of people who've been adapted to those systems, and they've been it's really hard to change their mindset and let them convince of something. That one reason. And also, not only the youth, but also as common majority, they think compared to the other elections like presidential election and general election, they are a bit reluctant to go to polling station, because they think that the local governmental authorities are not much important or not much involved with developing the country or developing themselves or whatever. But what they need to understand, that every citizen belongs to the local governmental authorities. They are the ones who are providing, like there's a concept, say womb to tomb, because they are the ones, the local governmental authorities are the ones who are providing the services, the utilities and everything for the citizens themselves from the mother's womb itself until the death, until they're getting a place to bury or whatever. So people should understand that if we do not like clean those places or like establish a good system in that places, we cannot go forward. That's the place that we should initiate everything. So that if people would understand that particular concept, I believe that they will go next time rather than this previous, like the latest election. So I think it would be better for them to, as Mr. Dunusinghe mentioned, that political literacy and like everything, it's really rare among youth. They are reluctant to read. They get ChatGPT. They get everything from them. So it's a kind of sad thing to say, but we should read more still, and get update about our surroundings and whatever going around us. So it's really important to know these things. If so, I think in future, at least in future, people will understand these things and go to the polling stations better.
I'm going to take it from a call to action, because now when she mentioned that the political literacy of the youth is far behind, so everyone should be knowledgeable and understand how much of an importance it holds for us to actually vote and put in that dire responsibility in giving about the leadership for the politics in Sri Lanka, because we have a say in it, and then we can make sure that our ideas, our opinions are being heard to the bigger ground. on. So with that being said, now when it comes to the United National Party, when it comes to the youth, the UNP have had a good connection to the youth, and it has had its situations where it was holding the utmost level of the trust, the accountability of the youth. Now it comes with a lot of legacy and also a baggage in terms of holding these two sides in a balance. Now when it comes to UNP, what do you think are the new measures that UNP is taking in terms of utilizing the youth for the political aspect of Sri Lanka?
Yes, that's a very good question. So the UNP wants to actually encourage more youth participation in politics. So what they do is, now our leader has taken a very important measure. He has always been encouraged for the past few months that the youth should come forward, whatever the stage, whatever the level, whatever the sphere. So he has been always encouraging, be it the professionals, be it the political wing, be it the women's wing, whatever it is, he's always promoting, or he always encourages and invites the youth to come in. That does not necessarily mean the elders or the seniors are being pushed to a side. They will be there. They have to guide. We have to be healthy saplings under a strong tree, because we need to learn from them first. So the UNP, what I've been noticing for the past few months, for every regional level, every district level, every stage, they have been encouraging and inviting youngsters to come and take over. Because as I said earlier, the youngsters should take part and they should watch and learn. They shouldn't be saying, okay, now it's our turn, you all have to get out. You can't say that, because we have to learn from them. We have to be humble enough, we have to be ready to learn from them. And we have been, so throughout history, we can learn a lot of lessons from that, because if the youngsters try to push in and try to get rid of the elders, then again we tend to mess up. That's not what we need to do. It's just like how youngsters think when it comes to their parents. They usually say from the age 18 to 35, you tend to think that you know everything. And if your parents advise you, you tend to think, okay, they say this, okay, we respect them because they are parents. Sometimes they don't even respect the parents. They think, okay, we know better. Now times have changed. We know what needs to be done. But after 35, when you become a parent, you understand the truth, right? But then it's too late. So our party has been encouraging us to watch and learn, at the same time to bring in the new ideas, because we need new ideas. So something which was told recently by the leadership was, we need to go to the online platforms as well, because we can't expect the question you posed to Ms. Wickramasinghe, where people come and protest, people have their picketing rallies. You can't do that, because right now youngsters don't think that way. Back then, when there were no smartphones, when there were no devices, obviously they will have to get together. If there's a problem in the village, they will have to get together to the temple or someplace. But now that's not the case. Everyone is connected through their phones. So you have to look into that and the screen time. People learn things through their devices, whether we like it or not. Yes, it is a very sad condition. We have to, people have moved away from reading. But we have to admit that is the case. We can't ask them, okay, stop using social media. You can't do that. Then we have to come up with measures to protect political literacy and education and the way people think with other measures. Good example, Online Safety Bill. Online Safety Act, I'm sorry. Online Safety Act, that ensure that you can't post whatever you want. But some people didn't like it, because now they can't post whatever they want, they can attack people. So yes, our party, we want the youth to take over, but under the leadership and the guidance of the seniors. But they are not at all reluctant, I have to admit that they are not at all reluctant to give leadership to the youngsters. A lot of youngsters have taken leadership, and of course this is something which is very well known in the party. So many people who have gone to other parties, they also started their politics in the UNP, and then they went there. We had no problem, because whatever is at the end of the day, we need a country to live in, because we have to have a firm basis, a foundation, an iron-like structure. And that is why we guarantee we will have a good future, but not tomorrow or day after, but everyone should get together.
I think that is a very optimistic response from the UNP with regards to how they are molding the youth to make sure that they are getting the exposure of getting into direct action and being active when it comes to politics in Sri Lanka, because at the end of the day we do have a say in whatever that's happening in Sri Lankan political landscape as well. So let's run in for a short commercial break before we discuss and go in for much more detail in the final segment. This is TPS. Welcome back to TPS, and you are with the final segment in discussing how the youth is getting involved in the political landscape of Sri Lanka. So since this is the final segment, and I also pose this question with regards to the active measures or the objectives and strategies that the UNP has in terms of getting the youth involved in politics. What does NPP have in store for the youth when it comes to getting them actively involved in leadership and also policy making?
So as I mentioned you earlier, so the current government is given the opportunity for the youngsters compared to the previous governments in the councils, and they let them speak, raise their voices and all. And more importantly, they have been allocated funds. If you go back and look into the previous budget proposals, there are few aspects which are solely focused on youth development, which are focused on mental health, like upholding the mental health of youngsters and prevention of drug prevalence of the country among youngsters, and also upholding the sports facilities and economically how we are going to strengthen the youth. How we can open the avenues for the entrepreneurships and all. Apart from that, they have been given, like earlier they said back in the election period, they have been saying in political stages that they are not gonna stay for these positions forever. They definitely they will be retiring, and for these responsibilities should be taken by youngsters for the second line. So they are forming a second line, and they are grooming them, they are educating them, they are training them, and they allow them to grow and make their leadership skills. So as a result of that, so many young faces have come up to fill the councils during past few elections, who are really well educated and who are like fresh professionals, who are having experience in their profession as well as who are involved in politics as well. So it's a commendable thing and like positive approach on get the involvement of youth, I believe. So I think they are continuing that until they are getting like expected outcome of it. So I think so they have been given opportunity, and moreover, I think for the mental health prevention, as I mentioned, so there are a few approaches that we can prevent, or we can uphold the mental health in pharmacological and non-pharmacological ways, but more importantly we should focus on how to manage it non-pharmacologically. So for that, the initiatives have been taken within the youth councils, which are formed very recently. So there are a few community outreach programs have been designed, and also leadership programs and soft skill development programs. They have been introduced among the youth councils. And also for the drug prevention, there have been taken initiatives to build health response, mental health response, and more importantly the rehabilitation. We should get them back to the normal life, and we should allow them to live in a normal healthy daily lifestyle. So apart from that, the young entrepreneurs, they have been providing the capitals and capital money for their businesses or whatever, and they've been given more opportunities to go abroad and learn new things from out there. There are a lot of things going out there in other countries. So to get that particular knowledge to our country and start new things in our country. Likewise, there have been taken much more commendable initiatives in order to uphold the youth and education, especially. They have been allocating so much funds, and also the reforms, new upcoming reforms on education. I think that's a pivotal moment when it comes to like shaping young minds. So I think, yeah, that's a good approach, I believe, as far as I can see.
Yes, definitely education is something crucial as well, and I believe the Clean Sri Lanka project is also aligned with all of those that you mentioned. Exactly. So I think it's positive from both ends again when it comes to the youth getting involved in the political landscape of Sri Lanka. So since we discussed about the very positive aspect, one final question from your end. So now when it comes to the challenges, now you representing UNP, being in the politics, actively involving, what do you think is that one challenge that you have been facing continuously ever since you got into politics, that maybe our viewers, maybe the youth that is watching currently this program thinks about getting involved in politics, but they might be facing the same challenge and they are reluctant, but then you are here today speaking outwardly, directly, and making sure that your contribution is given about for politics in Sri Lanka. So what do you think is that one challenge, and do you think you have made sure to get past over it with getting involved in politics?
Yes, the two main important things is, I mean, anyone could identify, especially the youngsters in politics, you need to have a lot of courage and you need to have a lot of stamina, because there will be a lot of backstabbing, there will be a lot of people who will discourage you, they will only tell you the bad side of it, and your own friends, they may not have bad intentions, but they may tell you, why are you going through all of this? You can also go abroad and have a good life. That's true. But also we have to understand, just as some of us have that option of going abroad, just as some of us can stay aloof, there are thousands and thousands of other youngsters, children in the villages who haven't even seen a plane. The only thing that they've seen is some iron or metal flying object. That's it. They haven't even seen a plane. And if we don't get involved, their future will also get ruined. So we have to get involved. So you have to have a lot of courage. People will say this is on the right time. Wait until 2030, 2040. But if you want to change, we need to change. And that is one very important thing the youth can contribute. We need to change the political culture. And that's not necessarily involving a particular political party. You can have friends, relations from different political parties. That's all right, because in order for the political spectrum to be well balanced, you have to have liberal ideologies, socialist ideologies, center left, center right. That's perfectly all right. You need to have the balance, but we need to have one goal, and that is something which is very important, way more deeper than I just phrased it. Because if someone is doing something right, even if you're not from the same political party, we need to have the political culture where we would appreciate that, acknowledge that, commend that. Just because it's done by someone else, you shouldn't criticize, or you shouldn't keep quiet. That's also ugly. If someone else is doing something, I belong to the UNP, but if this government does something good, we need to be humble enough and we need to be politically mature enough to appreciate that, acknowledge that. That is something which we cannot necessarily see from the earlier generations, not all, but certain generations. Then we should change that political culture. We talk of change, you brought up the Aragala, people said we need change, radical change. This is the change we need. We need to first acknowledge, we need to acknowledge the good, then only we can move forward. We need to respect those who deserve respect, regardless of their political basis or political camp or the ideologies. That is something we should change. Then honesty, meritocracy. Meritocracy is absolutely important. Even if you don't like the person, if the person is talented, give him the job. That is also a problem which a lot of youth will have. Because if you are clever, if your friend or if whoever you're going to bring into politics is clever, you might not give him a chance. Why? Because that person is too clever, you are worried that you will lose your place. That is just your insecurity. Just be meritocratic. You have to appreciate and you have to give them the best opportunities if they deserve it. You may not like that person personally, but private business should be completely different from your official life. Private life, official life, you should never get them mixed up. So that is also a problem. And just to close this conversation, the youth, we have to be very, very brave. Very brave, but humble. And you should keep going. People will ask you to stop. You might get exams, you might get all sorts of other problems, you might get married, all sorts of issues. It's fine. You can contribute in various ways. That's what you can do. You can encourage people, don't do this, just do this, or just keep quiet about it. You can do that. Just, we need to change the system, starting from our own selves, and people might bring you down. People might say, oh, there are all sorts of problems, all sorts of obstacles, but go ahead, keep flowing like a river.
Amazing. I think that was a very good take-home message for everyone, the youth who's trying their best to actually get involved, because I believe with your notion that you brought out is the selflessness that all of us youth should have with regards to getting involved in politics, because brain drain has been a concern and an issue when it comes to Sri Lanka, because most of us feel the urge to go abroad when things get a little escalated here. But then again, I believe from both ends, with their proper examples of representing each political party, what they came about is that they need to put out that one step and make sure they are a change maker in terms of making things easier and better for all of us youth. So I believe this discussion was much more than just the normal discussions with regards to the escalating topics when it comes to the political landscape of Sri Lanka, but something much more futuristic and positive, where you and I, if we are the youth, that we can get actively involved and make sure that our voices are being heard, our ideas are being executed for a better Sri Lanka. So I want to thank Ms. Viduri Wickramasinghe from the National People's Power. Thank you so much for joining. And also Mr. Uthsara Dunusinghe from the United National Party. Thank you so much for joining as well. Don't forget to send your feedback to our email at feedback.ad24english@then.lk or WhatsApp at 07680579333. We will see you again with another episode where we're discussing about the most crucial and essential topics of the political landscape of Sri Lanka. Till then, take care and have a good night.